Lovely. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's online Zoom event. My name is Natalie Playsted, and tonight I'm just going to take an opportunity to discuss PTSD, otherwise known as post-traumatic stress disorder. And I guess to address a few things that have supported me through my very own experience. I don't often discuss our incident, and I don't know if you'll hear in my voice, I'm a little bit nervous to share it with you, not because I see anything wrong with it, but just because I don't talk about it very often, and certainly not in a sort of more public space. But if this can help someone through their own experience, then, you know, this is the perfect opportunity for me to share my story with you. So I guess firstly, what is PTSD? For me, it was always something I'd associated with, you know, soldiers and ex-military people, and that was it. That was as far as I'd ever considered it. I'd never experienced anything like it in my life, and in the beginning, I kind of, I guess, wasn't accepting that that's what I was going through. And yeah, it took a while for me to sort of get my head around it. But it can affect anyone who's gone through a traumatic event, and it can be different for all of us. It can be mild to severe symptoms, but the consequences can be very relatable to many of us. Certain things like flashbacks, nightmares, panic attacks, feelings of worthlessness, and feelings of being a failure, regret, remorse, nausea, anxiety, depression, all of, you know, they're just a few things that I can name, but, you know, other people may experience different things, or all of those things. I myself sort of went through a few different things, such as the flashbacks, panic attacks, anxiety, nightmares, things like that. And it went on for a good 2.5 years almost after the incident that happened. It's natural for our minds and our bodies to turn on our defense mechanisms and our fight or flight response at the first sign of danger. However, PTSD is like a continuation from that. There can be many triggers and many responses, and it's just a reminder of an unfortunate event that has occurred where we felt panic and fearful, and it switches on and off. But for me, through nutritional support and also mindfulness, and lots of love from an amazing group of people, it can be managed, if not rectified. So I'll get into my story just in a nutshell. I will keep it brief because there's so many ins and outs that I could mention about what happened. So pretty much my little boy, he is my youngest. He was 11 months old at the time, and he almost drowned in a very, very terrible accident where he fell into a small bucket of water. He toppled in head first. And it was just an accident that no one could foresee. We had taken every precaution. We had no water in our backyard. There was nothing. This just happened completely accidentally. My incredible older son, who was only 4 at the time, pulled him out of this bucket of water when he realized that something was wrong, and he came running in and he called out that something had happened to Ray. So I leapt out the door and I saw my little baby just lying there in a pool of water, and he was blue and not breathing. So I said I wouldn't do this because I'd not spoke about it for a while again, which is really strange. Anyway, myself, I couldn't comprehend what had happened to him. I couldn't figure out what had happened. I went through all these scenarios in my brain, and then I just started to scream. And my husband came running out, and he picked up his little lifeless body and he took him inside. And in all of that chaos and panic, I had managed to call an ambulance, and before I hung up the phone, he'd come back to us, and he had made a full recovery. He was home running around as if nothing had happened that afternoon, after the hospital had checked him all over. So I could talk about all the ins and outs of this all night. There's so many, you know, different aspects to that story, and what happened in those 3 minutes felt like hours. And I was haunted by that day for so long, flashing back to finding him and seeing him lying there. My 4-year-old pulled him out, cried out for help. We were literally meters away, just out of sight. And I guess the regrets and the what ifs were some of the most trying sort of emotions and questions I've ever faced and, you know, gone through myself. So I'd become a part of this amazing community, the Juice Plus community, when I was pregnant with little Ray. And I'd taken really good care of my body, both nutritionally and soulfully. You know, I was nourishing myself on all levels, I thought. And I guess experiencing something like this has made me realize how glad I was that I was giving my body sort of the support, the nutrients I needed to get me through what has been, you know, the toughest almost 3 years now of my life. I guess in the past 6 months or so, I have really, I guess, not reversed, but really been able to transition to a much better state of mind with not only the help of good nutrition, but through the support of this community and the people involved and the offerings of support and help to make me see that what I had gone through wasn't so much a tragedy anymore. It was more of a triumph, an experience with a completely positive outcome. And to look at it like that now has been a gift from everyone involved in what I'm going to share with you tonight. So I'm super, super thankful for the Juice Plus community, and you may or may not have heard of it yet. Juice Plus is, to me, so much more than just a nutritional product. It's, like I said, it's a community of like-minded people. We're inspiring others to take back a little bit of control over their own health and their own lives. So what it is exactly, I've got a little line up here for you. We have got 3 little containers here. Now these are little vegan capsules, and they contain just dehydrated fruits, vegetables and berries, around 30 varieties in here. Now these are raw, they're dehydrated at really low temperatures, and they don't oxidize in that process, so the nutrients are still fully alive in there. So when you put them in your body, it's completely bioavailable. And we've done tons of research, and you can actually access that on our website. Some people love all the science behind it all. However, you know, I myself, we can't argue the power of whole foods, and nutrition is what supports our body and our mind. So we also have these little goodies, and these are quite new to the company. These are our vegan omega blends. These are brilliant. I myself, I'm vegan, so they are perfect for someone like me who was always a little bit worried about, am I missing out on anything because I don't eat fish anymore and I don't have this and that. So these are just a little bit of reassurance. And I know myself that omegas contain really important nutrients in the form of, we've got your DHA and your EPA, which is superly important for our brain function, our cognitive function, and it's just great for our overall health as well, and also our skin, and it's all, again, interconnected. And the last product that we have in the company that I love are our little sachets here, and these are just plant-based powders, again suitable for vegans like myself, but suitable for everyone, which is brilliant. They're really delicious, and these provide like our macronutrients. So again, we're nourishing our bodies just through something as simple as having a beautiful, delicious smoothie on the go. They have things in it like amaranth and broccoli sprouts, mushroom powder, yucca, and so much more. Lots of sort of stuff that we might not usually eat, yet these combos provide us with so much powerful nutrition, and, you know, on the go too, stick one of these in a handbag, you know, heading out the door. And one more incredible part about this community and the company that is Juice Plus is they provide free products for children, eligible children who are between the ages of 4 and 18, and they can receive a chewable version, which I actually don't have any of handy. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. Of course, Kel, look at that. They come in a little chewy form, They're really delicious. That's probably why we don't have any, because anytime I get them, they just run out super quick. But my children actually just chew on the capsules. They literally just put them and chew on them now because they're so used to them, and they actually just taste like fruits and veggies because that's what they are. So children can receive them for up to 4 years with any eligible adult order, which is incredible. So if you want to learn more about these products, have a chat with the person that invited you onto this little event tonight. But otherwise, I'm going to pass over to Suzie now, and she's going to share her little story with you in regards to how Juice Plus has helped support her and her little family too.
Hi everyone, thanks for inviting me on tonight, Natty. So I totally get where you're coming from with the PTSD, how it stays with you and it pops up at times that you don't expect it. And even just listening to your story, you can hear my voice, it's brought up my stuff, which, you know, we think we've dealt with stuff along the way, and it just comes back at the, I guess it's when you're using your voice to talk about it. And that's what I've loved about this community. You know, it's not just been a business, it's been a circle of friends and people that have become my best friends. And it's meant so much over the years. So for me, I've been with the company now for 6 years. And my boy, who's 10, my firstborn, when he came along, he decided to come very early, 2 months early, and both of us pretty much didn't make it out the other side. We were very lucky. We were very close. You know, when the anaesthetist comes down and visits you the next day to make sure you're all right, you know that things got pretty hairy, scary there. And so my journey from there was, it was pretty rocky. I ended up 2 years later having a little girl, and, you know, thought I'd dealt with the stress of the birth, but you know, when you're going to go back through the same thing again, it really brings up where you've been and what you've been through and the fears. And so after that too, like my physical recovery was a bit of a long road, and looking back now, the ups and downs and I was never diagnosed with postnatal depression, but that's pretty much because I hid it behind closed doors. Only the few closest to me knew my biggest struggles with the ups and downs of all that. And as some of you guys know, we had a little surprise baby come along for my 40th. So 4 years after my second child. And we won't get into the story that, yes, vasectomies do fail, and it was a big shock. But it took me about 3-4 months to wrap my head around the fact that I was going to have another baby, and I was scared, and I didn't work out until after I'd had him what those fears actually were. And the fear was going back to the way I felt after I had the first two, and that roller coaster, and not realizing that I'd been on this magical journey of nutrition and whole food, and also the support that I had around with me with the business as well. And I came out of my hashtag after having him was have baby will travel. Like, I was at a conference on Hamilton Island when he was 5 months old with me, and people were like, I can't believe you just had a baby. And this is me at 40 having a baby, just feeling on top of the world. It was the first time I really, really enjoyed that first 12 months of being a mum, because I didn't have the exhaustion. I didn't have the massive ups and downs. You know, I'd get tired, but it wasn't that, you know, holy hell, what have I done? Tired, where you just don't think you're going to cope. And so it just shows me, like, yeah, it really showed me the power of what whole food nutrition can do to support your well-being and help you to cope through times that are stressful. So yeah, I won't go on any further with that. As like with you, Natty, you know, we could talk about it for ages because there's so much depth and level to it all. But I'll hand it back. Oh, sorry, I was handing to Kel.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah, over to you, Kel. That would be amazing. Thanks, Suzie.
Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, okay. So hi, my name's Kellie, for any of you that I haven't met. I've been part of this amazing little community a little over 18 months now, and I will have my gratefulness passed on to Suze forever, because she was the one that reached out to me more than one time to say, hey, you really need to take a look at this. But let me tell you a little bit about my story. So my big story is I'm now a mum of 4, and I run my little side business here with Juice Plus with my 4 kids, 1 at school and 3 at home. And I love hanging out with them. And if my husband let me homeschool them, I would. I'm that kind of mum that wants to keep my nest close, and I love my babies close. I actually struggle to drop them off at kindy. So that's the kind of mum I am. And a few years ago, we were dealt with the biggest blow. And it's one of those things you never think about when you are preparing to have a family. You never think that your kids are going to get sick or there's ever going to be anything wrong with them. But for us, which will be nearly 4 years ago now, our little girl became unwell, and I knew something was wrong, but I had been around kids a lot in my life. I've worked in childcare, and I've, got lots of cousins. Been around kids all my life. And when I looked at my little girl, it's like, she doesn't have a rash. She doesn't have a fever. There was nothing that would tip an alarm bell for me to rush her to the hospital. We'd been traveling a lot 8 weeks prior to her getting unwell, and I thought, you know what, maybe she's just really run down. I'll give her 1 more day of relaxing, and if something's not, like if she hasn't perked up, I'll take her to the doctors. Now, we live in a regional area, and getting in to see a doctor is like pulling hen's teeth. Like, it's really, really hard. I knew that we didn't need to go to the emergency room at that time. We just needed a doctor to see her, because I knew that something was definitely not right. I followed protocol, and I rang 13 Health, and I gave them the description. She's lethargic, she's off her food, all that kind of thing. And they said to me, do you know what? It sounds like she's got a virus brewing. And the lady said to me, I bet you within 24 hours she'll present with like vomiting or diarrhea, something like that. I was like, oh, great, that'll be fantastic. So we made it through the night. She, she wasn't upset or unsettled. She was just really lethargic, and I let it go. And the next morning, I was like, no, she's not right. I need to get her into a doctor. So I rang up and put my forceful mummy voice on and told them that they would see my child on this day. And they told me that it was a Saturday, so they would give me a 2 o'clock appointment and not to be 1 minute late, or the door will be shut, because that's their time to go home. So I bit my tongue, and I held out and got my daughter there at 2. And when I did, the doctor didn't even get her out of the pram. He said to me, just walk her over to the hospital, and we're going to get some tests done. He said, I want to see how much oxygen is in her blood. And I can tell you, my heart just went into my stomach. I knew that something was terribly wrong. And in the back of my mind, I thought, they're going to hand me a death sentence today. Like, something is definitely wrong, and I don't know if we're going to make it through today. So I walked over to the hospital, and we had the common regional nurse thing that they all wanted to take a turn of pricking her, and, oh, we got too much blood, sorry, we're going to try again. Oh, it's not enough blood. Oh, look at her, she's just laying on the bed. And I had a 6-month-old crawling around on the floor, and I had my 2.5-year-old laying in the bed floppy with, no response to people pricking and poking her. And I leaned over to the lady and said, do you think you could just get it right? Like, she's 2. And so more and more of this went on, and in and out the room. And lo and behold, someone yelled at me across the bed, this child is diabetic. And I said, oh, thank goodness, which I didn't know much about at the time, but I knew people could live with diabetes. And this nurse turned around and yelled at me, and she said, you have no idea how sick this child is. And she's abusing me in the hospital. I said, you know what? I don't know how sick she is, because none of you guys are talking to me. This is my child laying there on the bed, and you're ignoring me. So we had lots of doctors come in. They had 9 goes at putting a cannula in, and they've realised that her veins have collapsed. So we're lights and sirens all the way to town. And just before we hopped in the ambulance, the doctor said to the ambulance man, this is an angel flight. He said, if you don't get this child there in 30 minutes, I don't think we'll have her. Which he thought I was in the toilet, but I'd come out and heard that. So I was trying to get my husband out of work. I've got a 6-month-old strapped in the ambulance beside my child that's almost in a diabetic coma. And we're on our way to town. Now, this is a 70-kilometre trip, and we made it in 11 minutes. I don't think I need to tell you what that was like. I thought we were going to die on the way there. They opened the doors, and the cavalry come out and pulled us all out of this ambulance. And it was crazy, crazy, crazy. There was people everywhere. She looked like a science experiment. They were poking things in her. They were putting extra cannulas in her. They were telling us they were prepping her in case her veins had collapsed. In case her organs started shutting down, they'd prepped her for emergency surgery in case they had to restart her heart. I'm trying to relay this to my husband on the phone while breastfeeding a 6-month-old and holding her hand. And I can tell you it was the most stressful time in my life. And we had 3 days of going hour to hour to know whether this child was going to make it. We're in ICU, and every hour they pricked her, and every hour they changed levels, and we sat there for 3 days just hoping that she wouldn't die. And it was in that time that I can tell you, I'm not religious, but I'm a good person. I prayed to any religious entity out there that if this child lived and I got to take her home, that I would make it my life's mission to keep her well. And I have spent my time doing that since I got to bring her home. And she's a beautiful girl. Yeah, in my pursuit to be super mum, I actually burnt myself to the ground. Not only is she type 1 diabetic, they told us the morning we were packed to leave the hospital after 10 days that she was a celiac as well. I didn't even know what that meant at the time. So I locked myself in the house for a year, and I researched everything I could to keep her well, and I did that. I did a really, really good job, but I did nothing for myself, and I just drove myself to the ground trying to care for her. And in this time, we felt pregnant with our 3rd child, and we felt like this was our miracle baby, you know, our trauma baby, that after what we'd been through, that this was a gift for us. And she totally was. But the little bugger never slept, and she never was any help to what we needed in this family, I can tell you. But she's a firecracker, that one. Suzie reached out to me and said, mate, you really need some help. And I really did. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to start. I've been the kind of person that was taught to just struggle on through life and just to keep going. And I'd done that. And I didn't think I could do it anymore. So Suzie showed me Juice Plus. Not only did it improve my mental state, but also how I felt. I started to get nutrition, so I was starting to feel great. And then we started trying these products for Clementine, and I can't tell you the difference in her. I can tell you in her blood tests. Now, she has the leading paediatrician for regional Queensland, and she's never seen a child with 2 autoimmunes that have bloods like Clementine. You know, like, we work hard to feed her well, and we do all those kind of things. Now, the bit that I want to share with people, everyone that has struggles has financial pressure on top of what they're doing because, you know, one person stays in the home. And this happened to us. We had a really tight budget, you know, we'd not long bought our home, and I had always worked. So this was the time where I just couldn't work. I needed to be home. And hubby had to take a 2nd job so that we could afford a gluten-free diet for Clementine. And we tried lots of times to only do gluten-free for her, and I can tell you my husband sucked at it. I threw out about 15 chopping boards, 2 sets of plates. It just got ridiculous. She's contamination sensitive, so if anything touches, it goes in the bin. I started to feel like a Greek woman smashing plates on the floor. It's another one. And out the plates went. So I can tell you, Big W were loving us on dinner sets. We bought 1,000 of them, I think. And I decided that I really needed to be at home, but I needed to work as well. So, you know, Juice Plus has just done so much for us. My husband was able to, in 3 months' time, give up his 2nd job, which takes so much pressure off the family. He works week on and week off. So he got to actually be at home with his kids. And, you know, like, I can tell you, I'm not working every day, but I'm doing a little bit of consistent stuff all the time, and I'm helping families along the way. And that's made all the difference to us. So, you know, Juice Plus paid for 4 little holidays for us last year, which we would never had the chance to do if I hadn't taken this on. And I can tell you, more than any value of money, when you get that phone call from someone that says, this product has changed my child's life, or this product has changed my life, your heart feels like it's going to burst out of your chest. So if someone has shared this with you tonight, there's someone that care about you. Us girls have shared our most vulnerable stories with you guys tonight, and if you're feeling that way as well, reach out to someone, because you never know, it might just be the first day of the rest of your life. You know, we hear so many amazing stories about what this product has done, and like the girls have said time and time again tonight, it's community. It's not just a product that you take, but it's a catalyst for what we're all looking for in our life. You know, I live in a remote area, and friends are few and far between, and I have a whole heap of my friends through the computer and, you know, over Facebook, and it just makes such a difference to your mental state and your overall well-being. So enough for me from tonight. I hope you got some value out of our shares tonight, and hope to be talking to some of you soon. Thank you.